The MacBook Neo is one of those laptops that just don't make sense. And that's not because I hate Apple, I promise. My first big problem is the I/O. Like, what am I supposed to connect the damn thing? It has only two USB-C connectors, and most external devices like a mouse, a keyboard, still use USB-A. And if you need an external display, mouse, keyboard, well, you're gonna need to buy a dock for just 4 external peripherals. Which brings me to the next point, the specs. The thing uses last generation iPhone chip, which is fine because the iPhone chips are fairly powerful, but the main limitation is the storage. It comes only with 256 gigabytes and 8 gigs of RAM. I know the RAM shortages are bad, but not this bad. And the thing is, it would be cool if something like a ThinkPad wouldn't exist. So if you go right over here on this Amazon link, you can get this ThinkPad with a terabyte of storage, which is 4 times as much as the MacBook Neo, and you get even more stuff. You get a screen, 15.6 inches, yeah, of course you get a screen, but yeah, you get a screen. You get a Core i5, 13th gen I think, yeah, 13th gen, that clocks out at 4.6 gigahertz. You get 16 gigs of RAM and a terabyte storage, which is a lot more than Apple is going to give you at that price point. And this one costs exactly the same as the MacBook Neo. Exactly the same. And ThinkPads are superior in the build quality than pretty much than the Neo at that price point. And if you look at the pictures right over here, you also get more I/O. You get a LAN cable connection. You get a USB-A connector for a mouse, because most mouses these days still use USB-A and not USB-C. And on the other half, you get an HDMI connector, which means you can connect easily an external display. And you get a USB-C and a headphone jack and whatever this connector is, I don't know this connector. But you still get one USB-C to connect a dongle to. You get an HDMI connector for external monitors, so it's not gonna take up one of your keyboard, mouse, or USB stick connections that you use via USB-C. And you get on the other side, where's the picture? Right there. No, that's the wrong side. Here you get a LAN connector, which means you are not bound to Wi-Fi. Yeah, you can get those fast cable speeds if you work at home. And a USB-A connector, which is, like I said, better still because most devices still use a USB-A connection instead of USB-C. So why should I buy the MacBook Neo right here, which has less I/O, worse build quality, a worse screen, I think. I think the screen is actually tinier. Where can I see the specs? Here, tech specs, right over here. It can even cost $699. Jesus Christ. And you only get a 5-core CPU. I think that i5 has more. With an i5, here, i5 13428. Let's look it up right here. Here. You get 8 cores and 12 threads, which is far better than the MacBook. You only get a little bit better GPU performance, because this one just has like integrated graphics, but still, what you gonna do on that iPhone GPU? Like, no, not gonna happen. And if you look at the desktop PC market, even that market still tops the MacBook Neo in every regard. It doesn't make any sense why the people are like cheering for it and are like, yes, the MacBook Neo is so great for the price point, the best budget laptop. I mean, I can see where it shines, you know. If you want to get into the Apple ecosystem, right? Then it shines. Then it's good. But if you look outside of the Apple ecosystem, it's getting destroyed by literally everything on the market. So, and you even get it with Office. Like, it comes with Windows 11 Pro pre-installed. And you get Office. I don't think that you get that on the MacBook. And also, let's compare the screen for a second. Where's the screen? 15.6 inches, full HD. Yeah, that the MacBook I think has a bit higher resolution on the screen. Where can I see the screen? Here, screen. You get you get a higher resolution, but that's it. 13-inch screen, and on that on the ThinkPad you get a bigger screen. You get a bigger screen and probably one that's better quality as well. And look at this peripheral. Like, you have you have only 2 USB-C connections. What is this? How am I supposed to work in a business with this? If you see it as that. And some people are like, yeah, but it's a content consuming device. Like, what do you do on a laptop? You use web apps for your business, right? Then it gets completely blown out of the water by something that is even cheaper, a Chromebook. I mean, yes, Chromebooks have worse build quality, but if the only thing that you do is browse the web and use your web apps, then a Chromebook is still superior because it is a lot cheaper. Like, maybe you guys can help me with this, because I don't know why you should buy this or why anyone would want to buy the MacBook Neo. Especially if you compare it to the ThinkPad for $599. You can even get this one for $699, which the higher end model of the MacBook costs. Which would be, where is it? This one. Where you get a lot of a better CPU. You get a Ryzen 7 7000 series with 16 cores. 24 gigs of RAM. Once again, a 1TB SSD. A Radeon GPU. Like, why? Once again, with Windows 11 and Microsoft Office. And as much as I hate Windows, but a ThinkPad is just a better option here. Like, I don't know if have all of these review outlets overlooked the ThinkPad? Did the ThinkPad just stop existing for them? Yeah, goodbye. But now I want to get into the pros of it. And there's only really one, if you think about it. And that's that compared to all the other options that Apple offers, it's a somewhat cheap device in the Apple world that can get you into the Apple ecosystem. If you already have some Apple devices, like an iPhone or a Mac, and if you need a cheap laptop to do Apple things on, so that you can do that stuff on the go, and don't care about gaming, the Neo could be for you. But for anybody else, I don't really see why anyone else would buy it. But maybe if the RAM shortage keeps going and Apple manages to keep the price of the Neo low, then it could maybe be a good laptop. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. Write it down in the comments. In my opinion, compared to something like a ThinkPad, the MacBook Neo just loses in every way possible. And if Apple really wants to take market share away from Windows in that regard, they need to do 5 things. First, give it a better I/O. So I don't want to have just 2 USB-C ports on a laptop. That's not enough, Apple. Second, give it 16 gigs of RAM, unified memory, because it's an APU, and give it more storage. 256 gigs is not enough. Give it at least 500 or 600 gigabytes of storage. Then it would be great. And price it more competitive. If you price it the same price as a ThinkPad, the people that want to use Windows and don't want to learn a new operating system are gonna stay there or are gonna switch to Linux. And my last point is, I don't really have a last point, so it wasn't really 5 points, it was 4 points really, but it's fine. Yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. Write me your opinion about the MacBook Neo down in the comments, and I'm out.